I'm delighted to welcome you this morning to the first Research Bites of 2022, and it's going to be delivered by Dr. Rajat Nag. So thank you very much for agreeing to do that this morning. So Rajat completed his PhD in the School of Biosystems and Food Engineering, and he's now a postdoctoral research fellow at the school working with Professor Enda Cummins. He's investigating a comprehensive environmental risk assessment of a new technology to trap fish pathogens in water. He hasn't always been in academics. Prior to this, he started his professional career in civil structural engineering in India and has designed many bridges, buildings, and water retaining structures of a water treatment plant. Currently, he's guiding postgraduate students on quantitative microbial risk assessment, among other things. And this morning, he's going to share some of his knowledge and his research with us. So over to you, Rajat, and thank you very much for presenting here this morning.
Good morning, everyone. It is my pleasure to give a talk on my research topic, which is on risk assessment of hazards to aggregate environmental pathways following the application of anaerobic digestate and animal waste to agricultural land. So, livestock contributes about 40% of the global value of the agricultural products. Sustainable agriculture and food production is therefore very important. Agri-food sector in Ireland contributes more than 24% of the industrial turnover annually. And EPA tells us that we should do the minimize, reuse, recycling, energy recovery, and disposal hierarchy. And anaerobic digestion fits into this hierarchy very well because it recycles the animal waste from farms, and also the energy recovery is done through this process of producing biogas. Anaerobic digestion is identified as the lowest environmental impacted green energy technology, and AD has the potential also to inactivate a lot of pathogens which can be potentially present in the raw feedstock of this AD process. However, complete inactivation is unlikely, which leads to a hypothesis that if the AD is applied to the digestate, which is the co-product of AD, is applied to land, the pathogens which may present in that digestate may diffuse into different compartments of the environment and may pose human health risks from those biological hazards. The use of AD is likely to grow in the coming years, so the impact of this study is significant. The overall aim of this research was to investigate the human exposure to indicator bacteria and pathogens, which may cause significant human health risks following the application of raw farm yard manure and slurry and on agricultural land. The first chapter, I looked at the literature review on this topic. So I found that hazard identification, risk assessment is a 4-tier approach consisting of hazard identification, exposure assessment, hazard characterization, and risk characterization. In hazard identification, we identify the hazards. If there is no hazards, there is no need for conducting risk assessment. In the next step, which is the exposure assessment, we quantify the amount of contaminants from the source to receptor. So, and overall human exposure to those pollutants. In hazard characterization, we check the dose response model for those pollutants, and we calculate the overall risk in the risk characterization process, which bridges the exposure assessment and hazard characterization steps. So I found that there are many potential pathogens, sorry, which can be present in the feedstock of the AD, which are farmyard manure and slurry and food waste. And AD can inactivate a lot of pathogens up to 1 to 2.5 log through mesophilic AD and thermophilic AD respectively. And also storage may inactivate 2 log types of the bacterial load. However, pasteurization process is a very important process because it sterilizes those waste. And when the digestate is applied to land, the dilution happens because it mixes with the larger volume of the soil, and decay happens under the ultraviolet ray and sun. And after that decay, when the crops are ready for harvesting, the crops are cleaned and they are packaged and they are stored in the refrigeration in the supermarket. However, a few of those pathogens may grow in that cold temperature. And finally, human happens. Average European studies say that average European consumes about 35 grams of salad a day in a year. And with that, there's a potential chance of human exposure to 0.35 grams of soil a day through that salad. And also it is very important to point that pathogens cannot get into the plant thanks to Mother Nature. The stomatal, the root stomatal diameter is about 5 nanometer range, and the bacterial are in micrometer, so 1,000 times more diameter they have. So they cannot get into those roots. However, the viruses are in nanometer range, but norovirus, say for example, has a diameter of 25 nanometer. So also that virus cannot get into those plants. So there is only chances the attachment of these pathogens through the soil, which is again attached to those salad crops. Sorry about that. In the next chapter, I chose 91 potential pathogens which can be present in the feedstock and scored them based on 3 criteria. One is the thermal inactivation. Second is the potential transmission pathways such as air, water, food, and animal contact. And the third one is the severity or mortality rate in untreated patients. And I found that Cryptosporidium, Salmonella, Listeria, Campylobacter, Clostridium, Norovirus, Mycobacterium, these are the topmost pathogens of concern through this process. So in the next chapter, I try to quantify the levels of these pathogens in raw farmyard manure and slurry. And it must be noted that if the animals are infected, then only they releases these pathogens in their manure and slurry. So it was very important to estimate what is the prevalence of these diseases in these animals, and it has to be a national scale model. So we chose AIDSR database of Ireland, which is publicly available, all Ireland disease surveillance report. And for last 14 years, I collated the data based on the post-mortem analysis of fallen animals, the number of tested, the number found positive. So I improved the belief through the Bayesian loop, and with the posterior function, I calculated the prevalence of different pathogens in animals' body. And once that is found, the prevalence can be multiplied with the levels of pathogens in infected animals' manure and slurry to get the average pathogen load in the farmyard manure and slurry. So we found that it ranges about 1.2 to 4 log for different pathogens, and up to like 6 log for E. coli and all for slurry. The next chapter, once that initial level is estimated, I wanted to calculate what is the likely levels of pathogens in the digestate. And I developed a bespoke model for the operator of the AD plants who can give the input of different parameters of the AD process and get final pathogen load in the digestate. So this project was a collaboration between Chagas, NUI Galway, and UCD Veterinary and Science Department. And my project partners conducted lab scale mesophilic batch reactors to mimic the actual condition of the AD industry in Ireland. And the parameters were feedstock composition, retention time, temperature of AD, pasteurization and its sequence, storage, and the use of lime during the storage. I used a gamma generalized linear model to integrate these 6 parameters to evaluate the final pathogen concentration with this spreadsheet. And I calculated the final load through this process. The next chapter, I looked at the human exposure to pathogenic E. coli and as a consequence, what are the risks through air pathway. So once the slurry is applied to land, the pathogens which are likely to present in that slurry may bioaerosolized, and it can transport through the wind from its origin to its destination, like where people can be infected or get the human exposure to inhalation. So I used a mathematical model to calculate this human exposure. I used 1 hectare of area, and I divided into 4 meter by 4 meter grid to mimic the width of the slurry spreader, which is like 4 meter. And I collated the information of the bioaerosolization efficiency factor from the literature for E. coli. And I used the Gaussian plume model and I converted the emission, the point emission, to an area emission by integrating those concentrations. And once the human exposure is calculated through the kind of range of inhalation rate for adults, the dose response model were applied for pathogenic E. coli, and I evaluated the risk. I found that there is low risk or very low risk associated with this process. However, it is important to keep a distance of 100 meters from the land application site, and there should be a time lag of 2.5 hours following the application of this slurry for those who are not equipped with personal protective gear. In the next chapter, I looked at the water pathway. So once the slurry or the digestate is applied to land, and if there is immediate rainfall, so pathogens can be transported to the nearest water bodies. And water bodies is often used for the drinking water treatment plant source. The drinking water treatment plant process, such as primary, secondary, and tertiary process, can inactivate a lot of pathogens, but complete inactivation is unlikely. So therefore, there's a potential chance of getting infected or getting a human exposure to these pathogens. And once that human exposure is calculated based on the consumption data for Ireland, the dose response model were again applied to evaluate the probability of annual illness, daily illness, and annual illness respectively. And I compared with the WHO limit to evaluate that risk category. I found that there is very low risk or low risk associated with this pathway. If there is a time lag of 2 days of rainfall from the application. However, if there is an immediate rainfall within 1 day, there is a moderate risk associated with this process, which actually agrees with the current legislation that if there is a prediction of rainfall within 48 hours, you should not apply biofertilizer on land. In the next chapter, I looked at the food pathway. So I evaluated the concentration of pathogen in the raw animal farmyard manure and slurry through that Bayesian approach. And then with the add risk, I calculated what is the concentration of pathogens in the digestate. And once that is applied to land, it undergoes dilution and decay. So I calculated the decay with the help of first order die-off rate for different pathogens. And the inactivation process of chlorine washing after harvesting those crops were collated from the literature. So once that is done, few of these pathogens may grow in the shelf of those supermarkets. And with the consumption of 0.35 grams of soil, I calculated the human exposure. And once that is done, different dose response models, these are the best available models for the selected pathogens collected from the literature, mostly from QMRO Wiki, developed by Professor Charles M. Haas in Drexel University. And then I evaluated the risks from these biological hazards. So this is a summary of comparison between application of raw unpasteurized farmyard manure and slurry. Then the next column is for unpasteurized digested, and the last one is the pasteurized digested. So I found that there's a very high risk associated with Mycobacterium and high risk associated with Cryptosporidium and E. coli for application of slurry. However, the AD process decreases this risk from high to moderate and moderate to low. But complete safety could not be ensured. However, if you apply pasteurization process, which inactivates up to 6 logs of these pathogens, there is a very low risk associated with this food pathway, which is the key pathway I found from this research. In summary, Cryptosporidium, Salmonella, Norovirus, Streptococcus, E. coli, Mycobacterium, Salmonella, Clostridium, Listeria, Campylobacter are found to be the pathogens of concern. Initial levels of pathogens in raw farmyard manure and slurry was assessed within the range of 2.6 to 6.4. It is the first Excel-based spreadsheet to evaluate the pathogenic load in the digested. And there is a very low risk associated with pathogenic E. coli in bioaerosols. However, keeping a distance of 100 meters from these activity and providing a time lag of 2.5 hours is highly recommended. The overall annual probability of infection or illness from pathogenic E. coli was very low for land application, and if there is rainfall after 2 days. However, immediate rainfall, say day 1 after land application of slurry poses a moderate risk. Spreading raw farmyard manure and slurry and unpasteurized digested pose high risk. However, for selected pathogens such as Mycobacterium, Cryptosporidium. However, pasteurized digested reduces this risk to very low risk category. This research covers several aspects regarding the risk assessment of hazards through aggregate environmental pathways following the application of anaerobic digested and animal waste to agricultural land. To date, it resulted in 7 published peer-reviewed papers and 1 international conference from my end. It provides novel modeling applications, and it is an original contribution to science. These are the publications. You may follow these articles for detailed modeling approach and results and recommendations. These are all Q1 journals. I would like to thank DFM for providing funding for this research, and also I would like to thank my supervisor, Professor Enda Cummins, for being there in my ups and downs, and also my all project partners, especially Agatha, Stephen, and Lauren. They're stars because they did all those hardship in the lab. And thank you for listening to me. And you may contact me at my mail ID. And also, if you're interested for any future collaboration, please drop me an email. With that, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Rajat. That's really interesting, a very clear presentation